Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Reuter, and I'm on the Solutions Engineering team here at Quantum Metric. If you haven't heard of us before, we are the platform that will enable your teams to continuously design better products faster, surfacing customer experience insights, both tactical and strategic, through real-time analytics and session replay. Our goal is to enable organizations to iterate quickly by giving you the data or customer signals of what's working and what isn't, so that you can confidently make the right decisions that reflect your customers' ever-changing needs. We could not be more excited to be here with you today at Women in Product, so let's get to it. If you were to ask some of our customers about the challenges they faced prior to Quantum Metric, their answers could be boiled down to one simple thing. Organizations struggle to align teams and prioritize the changes to the digital experience that will drive the most customer value. This challenge often stems from the inability to fully understand the customer's perspective. Furthermore, teams disagree on priorities, workflows are broken and time-consuming, and the customer often doesn't have a seat at the table. Our approach to solving this problem is a combination of the Quantum Metric platform and methodology we call continuous product design, or CPD. But we'll get to that in a bit. For now, let's get to the demo so we can start to walk through just a few of the many business problems that Quantum Metric helps solve. Being in the world of product and product management, I'm sure you can appreciate the need to understand what a single user has experienced with your product, whether this need stems from a customer leaving poor feedback on the site or from someone complaining to your customer support. And then, of course, there's my personal favorite and what we hear all the time from our customers. Someone high up in the organization had a bad experience, and now everyone is running around like crazy trying to figure out what the heck they were complaining about. So let's start first with a session replay, a single customer's digital experience, whether that be on web, mobile, native app, kiosk, or any other digital platform. With Quantum Metric Session Replay, teams across your organization can contextualize and visualize the customer's experience by seeing exactly what the customer saw and experienced during their website visit. For this example, let's continue with the scenario that we've heard through the grapevine about an unhappy exec. After executing a quick user search using my executive's email address to identify her session, I've now located her replay. Without even pressing play, I can already see that she's had a lot of issues by just looking at the red dots, which indicate errors or friction along the session progress bar. I can also easily retrieve her metadata, as well as any technical details that will help me reproduce her experience. Now, for anyone who's wondering about PII or other customer personal information, don't worry, Quantum Metric can encrypt and mask these details so your customer's data is always protected. Now let's see for ourselves exactly what she experienced. As I'm watching her replay, I'm keeping my eye on the replay timeline, which shows every detail of her experience in chronological order, including every click, tap, page hit, type text, API call, friction, and of course, those unfortunate errors. In fact, I can easily search this list for insights into what may have caused her issue. In this case, I heard she had some trouble with a product being out of stock. So let's start there. Here we can see from the timeline that not only did she see that the product was out of stock, but when she tried to click the message to get more information, nothing happened and her repeated clicks went nowhere, resulting in Quantum Metric automatically detecting her frustration with one of our many out-of-the-box friction indicators. These indicators are especially powerful for UX and product teams to differentiate between, is the site working as we designed it versus, is the site working the way our customers expect it? But back to the issue at hand. We've found our executive's issue, so problem solved, right? Well, not quite. If we ran around chasing every complaint of every customer, we'd never be able to develop anything new. Instead, we need to quantify these issues to understand how they impact our customer journey so that we can rightfully prioritize the issues that matter and move past those that don't. With a single click to the timeline, selecting See More errors like this, I can instantly identify and quantify every other customer that had this exact same problem across 100% of our digital sessions, whether they complained about it or not. From this view of the error details, I can quickly understand the size and scope of the issue, as well as watch additional replays to validate the issue at hand. But most importantly, with just a few more clicks, I can instantly understand the impact of this issue to customer conversion and ultimately the potential revenue loss because of this specific frustration, which in this case is nearly $200,000 per year. But let's not forget where we started. We've still got to report the issue in Jira and let the team know we'll be working on this. No problem. I simply return to the replay window and click Share. With direct integrations into Jira and Slack, I never have to leave the QM platform. Or rather, I don't have to bounce between a bunch of different platforms to get the job done. Pretty cool, right? Now I've compressed this very common workflow down to just a couple of minutes, but I fully appreciate that there may be a few more steps for some of you in the audience. But if you were to walk away from your computer right now and miss the rest of my demonstration, I want you to take away one key thing. With Quantimetric, you can more easily identify and quantify issues in your digital experience, allowing your teams to react faster when a complaint or issue comes in. But reacting to complaints still puts us behind the 8 ball. We're only responding when something becomes an issue. And if we built our entire workflow off of digging into each replay just to quantify, we'd still end up spending way too much time focused on each issue as it comes in. Plus, I might not brush my hair for 3 days, but I still don't have the time to watch a bunch of replays just hoping to find something insightful. Instead, we need to be proactive, taking action on these friction points in our customer journey before they become issues, and most importantly, spending our time digging into those things that impact our business the most. For that, Quantimetric has the perfect solution, and you won't find this anywhere else. Ladies, let me introduce you to Quantimetric's Opportunity Summary, voted #1 most likely to solve all of your digital problems. Okay, that's not real, but this is a fan favorite of Quantimetric customers. The Opportunity Summary presents a single pane of glass for users across your organization to come together and understand which issues have the biggest impact on our customer conversion. In this case, we're talking retail banks and the customer journey for creating a new checking account. With the Opportunity Summary, I can see every friction point in my customer journey, automatically prioritized, surfacing the issues most impactful to being able to open a new checking account, and giving me a monetized value of the error itself. We call this annual opportunity, and you can look at it in one of two ways. One, it's the cost of doing nothing, aka potential revenue lost. Or two, it's recouped gains, or the ROI of fixing the issue. The best part, this is all based on your data. That's right, not industry benchmarks or best practices. With Quantimetric's real-time data capture technologies, we're calculating this annual opportunity value based on your customers' transactions, such as deposit or investment amount, and linking that to the error's incidence and how and where in the journey it's causing fallout. Whether you want to prioritize your fix list based on the cost of doing nothing, how many people get the error, conversion rate impact, or even how it's trending, this summary page will be your first stop on the way to building better products faster. And for those users who need to know not only what to focus on, but also why it happened, I can simply click into the error, which takes me to the error details view. Here, I can dig into the data and start watching additional session replays. Not a fan of logging into another platform? No problem. Quantimetric has real-time alerting capabilities powered by machine learning anomaly detection. When you get one of our alerts via email, Slack, or other web-hooked notifications, it'll take you directly into the platform where you can very quickly assess the state of things. I hope by now you're starting to see that Quantimetric helps organizations by proactively identifying customer friction and struggle, improving operational efficiencies with instant quantification, and lastly, that prioritization and annual opportunity, which, let's face it, basically ends the argument of my problem's worse than yours. But let's think about improving CX from another lens. Data-driven decisions about what to build next, not what to fix, but where do we need to improve based on the signals my customers are already showing me through their interactions with my digital products. Let's talk next about page-level analytics. Innovating ahead of the customer doesn't just mean removing the friction from the journey or fixing those things that we break. While we need to keep a continuous pulse on these things and use our quantification of business impacts tied to customer experience to prioritize our resources, as a product manager or UX designer, I still have goals and KPIs to meet. And if I don't constantly evolve to meet customers' ever-changing expectations, it will become harder and harder to maintain those KPIs. Even more so if I don't have visibility into how customers are using my digital product. This is where Quantum Metrics page-level analytics come in. Whether you own one page or an entire flow within your digital product, real-time analytics is key to understanding the content or features that are driving customer engagement. And most importantly, understanding the engagement that drives my KPIs. With Quantum Metrics pages, I can easily identify and quantify where customers are engaging within a given page or group of pages, and relate that engagement to metrics like conversion. I can also easily drill down into segments by feature directly from the table, or even apply robust segments through the segment builder and deep dive into page-level data for key segments, like A/B test variations. This is also a great view for monitoring a page post-release to ensure you're still driving engagement where needed and that the release is error-free. Heat maps are another great tool for visualizing engagement at the page level. In Quantum Metric, we call these macro visualizations interactions. In addition to traditional heat maps, as well as taps and attention, which is scroll depth, Quantum Metric uniquely marries the macro visualizations with the analytics behind it. Using this view, I can easily compare the KPIs between two features on a single page. And better yet, when I'm testing different designs, I can compare the interactions between variants, allowing me to determine in real time what should change and why, because I can tie my insights directly to my KPIs. So to review what we covered today, Quantum Metric can serve anyone involved in the digital product process, whether it's dev or IT tackling bugs, CX teams investigating customer complaints, UX folks looking to design friction-free experiences, or even product teams seeking to make data-driven decisions about what to build next. For me, as a user of this platform, I love that I didn't have to write a SQL query to get the data that I wanted. I didn't have to ask my data science team to join up disparate data sets and build me a dashboard. And I didn't have to ask my development team to tag every single tiny thing on my site just so I can get the data. Organizations love Quantum Metric because it can be adopted by teams across the enterprise, providing a single version of the truth and real-time insights into the customer's digital experience. All of this is made accessible with a single deployment, capturing digital data across 100% of sessions from any device. If you asked any of the leaders we work with about Quantum Metric, they might talk about the platform and technology, but mostly they would point to the impact of having alignment from all those different teams around the customer's perspective and what that enables for their teams to do. That's really what continuous product design is all about, enabling business and technical teams to align faster and focus on the opportunities that drive the most customer and business value. Okay, lastly, I've got some great resources lined up for the folks at Women in Product. To learn more about the Quantum Metric platform and some of the customers we work with, head on over to our website. Get in touch with our team or check out a self-service product tour at quantummetric.com. To learn more about the continuous product design methodology, visit continuousproductdesign.com. There you will find a free introductory certification course that will give you some CPD best practices that you can start to implement immediately. Thank you all for joining us and have a great rest of the day.
My name is Samira Khalil, and I'm a product expert at ProductPlan. Our female-led product team has built a roadmap platform to empower you to share your product story. We are honored to be with you all today and look forward to connecting over the next few. Now, let's get started. We built a roadmap platform to help you focus on what matters most, building better products. Our team talks with product managers daily, and the challenge we hear most often is that without a flexible tool, you can't effectively align the team and collaborate on your roadmap. Our mission is to empower you to own your product success and effectively communicate your product strategy in a single source of truth. I'm really excited to show you the power of ProductPlan. I'm going to start by going over the basic building blocks of a ProductPlan roadmap, then show you how to easily import and prioritize data from different sources into your roadmap table, slice and dice your roadmap for different stakeholders, and even roll up multiple roadmaps into a portfolio view for the executive team. Let's jump in. When it comes to ProductPlan, I like to think of the app in two parts. You have your road mapping section, and then you also have the idea management side, which is what we call your table here. I'm going to get into that in just a moment, but just to start you off on the basic building blocks, let's start here. There are 4 main components to your roadmap. You have your swim lanes, which is what I have here. I like to think of them as teams or really anything that's not going to change a whole lot over time. Moving down, you've got your containers. I like to think of my containers as my themes or releases. And then within those containers, I have what we call bars. Those can live independently of the containers as well. And I like to think of those as my epics, initiatives, features. Last but not least are the milestones. These are the flag type icons. Exactly what they sound like. Milestones on your roadmap, important go live dates. You can drag, drop a bar, container, milestone, lane right onto your roadmap, dive into a bar, container, milestone, set the exact date. Great place to start is going to be here in your settings. This is where you'll set up the title, description, layout. You've got 2 different choices. You can do a timeline or a list. And then you've got this timeline style here as well. So depending on what type of roadmap you're building out or who you're sharing it with, you could do weeks, months, quarters, years, sprints. You can get pretty customizable with it. Once you're on the roadmap itself, you can also toggle between those 2 different layouts. So I've got my timeline and then I've got my list style here as well. With my quarters on the top, these could be months, weeks, sprints. And then I also have my swim lanes still on the left. I can make changes here, and that will reflect in the roadmap itself, or the timeline rather, and vice versa. Now, let's jump into the table. This is where I generally like to start, bringing in new ideas, bringing in new data, whether that's from Jira, ADO, maybe it's another software tool I want to integrate with ProductPlan using the Zapier integration. I have a lot of options. Part, I kind of like to think of the backlog. This is going to be the staging area of your table. Planned, this is where all of your items on your roadmap exist. So you can make any edits here, change these items. Maybe I want to go ahead and change the title, description. Any of that is already on my roadmap and will update in real time. Parked, this is where I'm bringing in that information. If I wanted to import it in, let's say from Jira, I can easily bring that Jira URL in. Maybe it's a list of epics, ADO, Excel. I have a lot of options of where I'm bringing that data in. Once I've brought in a list of epics, for example, now I can start prioritizing it for my roadmap. This prioritize feature allows you to bring anything in from your parked, anything in from your roadmap. It'll have a P next to it if it's parked, lanes if it's on the roadmap. I can score these items on a benefit to cost weighted analysis. 5 is a high score for benefit, 1 a high score for cost. My highest ranked item then is going to end up at the top. So after I've done a bunch of prioritizing, I can dive back into my parked and really understand what I need to be moving on to the roadmap. Let's say I want to start moving in that highest ranked item. I'll scroll over to the right here, select the items that I want to move to my roadmap, unpark these bars. Now they're on planned, which means they're on my roadmap. I can also add new bars and containers directly to the parking lot. Maybe I want to just add a new idea on the fly, add a new backlog item that I soon want to add to my roadmap, and easily do it from the parked. Now jumping back into the roadmap itself. There's a few different ways you can slice and dice your roadmap for different audiences. Maybe you're sharing it out with the marketing team or the sales team. Or maybe it's a specific board member and you don't want to necessarily give them everything, but they generally want to see the same roadmap, just care about different things within it. There's 3 levels to your roadmap that you're going to be able to organize it by when filtering in and out for different audiences. The first are your swim lanes. So again, coming back to these, how are you setting these up? Second is your legend. The legend represents the different colors on my roadmap. I have my legend set up as strategic goals, but it can be anything from phases of completion to teams even. And then last but not least are your tags. Tags are going to live on bars, containers, and milestones. And I kind of like to think of tags as the catch-all of anything that's not already a swim lane and anything that's not already a legend. You can easily create your tags by typing in there. They literally can be anything you want, hitting enter and save. Once those 3 levels of organization are defined, now you can start slicing and dicing your roadmap for those different audiences. One example I've created is my leadership view. It's the same exact roadmap we were just looking at, but filtered out to only be catered to what that specific audience wants to see. So not as many legend items. I've only got these 3 on the roadmap. Not as many bars and containers. I filtered out some tags, but I decided to leave both swim lanes. I can easily share this out. This sharing feature works the same way via the app. I can copy a link, send this link over to someone. It stays live, so whatever's happening in my default roadmap, it's going to update in that view as well. I can also share it out via email. I can type in someone's email here, give them view edit access. Your viewers are unlimited and free, so don't worry about how many people you can send it out to. And then you can also create teams. So maybe I wanted to send it to the entire beta team, the entire sales marketing team. I'm able to do that as well. In order to create these views, you're going to go to Add New View. You've got your title, description, layout. You have the option or the timeline, list, and then you've got your style here as well. So even if your default roadmap is in months, you can create a quarters, maybe even a sprint view for that specific audience. And then last but not least are your 3 levels of organization: lanes, legends, tags. You can select, deselect any item you want to include or not include in that specific view. Next, I want to show you portfolio view. So this is going to be taking multiple roadmaps and rolling them up into one view. This is going to be my folder of kind of where all of my roadmaps live. The ones I've created, ones others have shared with me, and then also that portfolio view. I like to think of this as that 3,000-foot view of everything that's going on, or maybe a specific subset of different roadmaps. We've got product 1, 2, and 3 all rolled up into here. I can filter them out by those 3 levels of organization mentioned earlier: lanes, legends, tags. In my settings, this is how I can customize how I want these to be showing up. I can include additional roadmaps here if I need to, change the title, description. I can even change the legend style and the lane style. So I can consolidate it to one big list, maintain original colors, and same for the lane as well. Layout, I've got the option here of timeline and list as well, and I can even change the style. So depending on, maybe I've got several different roadmaps with several different timelines, but I want it to be consistent on my portfolio view. I'm able to do that here. Sharing works the same exact way. I can hit share, copy a link, send it over via email, and even export it out. PNG, PDF, Excel, throw it into a PowerPoint if I need. Last but not least, I want to touch on our integrations. If I go into here, this is where all of my integrations are going to live. We integrate with Azure DevOps, GitHub, Jira, Microsoft Teams, Slack, Pivotal Tracker, and Trello. We do this to make your life easier and save you time, so you're not doing the work in 2 places. I'm going to briefly go over the Jira integration. Works very similar to the Azure DevOps integration, but we'll touch on the Jira for the sake of time. In regards to the Jira integration and product plan, they work together in 3 ways. The first way is going to be an import directly into what we call your parking lot. That was in the table I mentioned earlier. Bringing a list of epics in, for example, we usually suggest bringing in at the epic level to make sure your product roadmap is not getting too granular. The second way is going to be a direct bar to epic link in your roadmap. And then the third is going to be a push from product plan to Jira. Let's get started. The first way I mentioned is in that table. So if I dive back into my roadmap and I go to the table here, I'm going to bring in a list of epics from Jira. I can hit import, go to Jira directly, search that Jira URL, paste it on in, hit import, and now that list of epics now exists inside of Product Plan. As I'm ready to start bringing them over, they're going to continue to sync even if they sit in my parking lot. I can select these items, unpark these bars, and move them directly to planned. The second way is going to be a one-to-one bar epic link. So if I dive into a bar container, you can actually link up your epics at the container level as well. We do, again, recommend linking up at the epic level to keep it high level. If I jump into a bar container here, scroll down to where it says links, I can add a link directly to that bar container by selecting Jira and searching for that specific epic name. It'll then populate here. I can select the epic, and a few things are going to happen once it's linked. The title, description, percent complete, dates, and tags are all going to come over from Jira. Those items, those fields are coming over from Jira as well when I put it into my parking lot. But this will be just a direct link to your bar or container when linking up that epic. If anything changes in Jira, it's going to continue to sync as well. So if something gets pushed back a sprint, it'll update here in ProductPlan. If, let's say, labels change inside of Jira, it'll update here. If I've got, let's say, 10 stories in an epic, I complete 5 of them, it's going to show 50% complete here in my bar container. Same goes for title, description. Any of that information changes, it'll update in ProductPlan. The third and last way is going to be a push from ProductPlan to Jira. So let's say you're a product manager and you've created a bunch of new bars that don't yet exist in Jira, but you need to push them in. Instead of going inside of Jira, creating a new ticket there, you can create this directly from ProductPlan. So if I add to Jira directly from my roadmap, this window will pop up. These fields will reflect whatever required fields you have inside of Jira. So project, issue type, whatever required fields you have in Jira will be represented here. You can set up those fields exactly how you need them to show up, create that in Jira. Now that ticket will go to Jira as soon as it's picked up by someone that's inside of Jira, engineering, dev. They'll start working on it. It'll now reflect those changes in that bar container you sent it from. Next, I want to talk about the MS Teams integration. MS Teams, Slack, whichever one you're using, I kind of like to think of them in the same way. They're an activity tracker for ProductPlan. So you can set up a specific roadmap to a channel, a webhook in MS Teams or Slack. Anytime there's a comment made on your roadmap or anytime there's changes made on your roadmap, you can be notified of those directly in that channel. Like I had mentioned previously, there's 2 types of users when it comes to ProductPlan. You have your viewers and you have your editors. Your editors are obviously anyone that's in there changing the roadmap, and your viewers are those who you're sharing it out with. You can have as many as you'd like. Viewers can also make comments. So if I hit this switch to view mode, I'm able to see what my viewers are going to see. And then they can also make comments and ask for specific statuses, how something's going. You can even say hi if you need to. Once that's set, a notification will be sent to that specific channel the comment was made in. If you'd like to learn more about ProductPlan or the integrations, please feel free to visit our website at productplan.com or visit our booth later on in the rest of the event. Looking forward to meeting each and every one of you, and please don't hesitate to reach out.
All right, here we go. Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We're super excited to be here, and a warm welcome from Amplitude to everybody that's attending Women in Product 2021. It looks like we've got a few folks still trickling in, so we'll go ahead and give them time to do so. In the meantime, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. In the meantime, by way of introductions, my name is Sam Edwards. I'm currently on the Solutions Engineering team here at Amplitude, and I will be your host today, offering an overview of Amplitude as well as a quick look under the hood of our latest product called Recommend. So looks like we've got a quorum here. Let me go ahead and start to dive in. Just a heads up, feel free to swing by our virtual booth after the session if you have any questions. If you want to learn more, we are more than happy to chat with you. So today we'll be spending time in Amplitude covering a handful of our powerful features, and these are going to be based on our core platform. So Amplitude at its base, at its roots, is a digital optimization tool so that you can better understand your users. We provide self-service analytics. From there, you can make flexible behavioral insights come to life. And we'll also be highlighting a few of our most beloved features, like funnel analysis, conversion drivers, and cohorting. And then you'll get to see firsthand how our newest product called Recommend is being used to predict future behavior while also personalizing user experiences using the power of machine learning. Before we dive in, just wanted to quickly make sure to set the stage for those of us who have not yet had the chance to get acquainted with Amplitude. Maybe it's been a while since you've used Amplitude, or if you're brand new. Wanted to make sure that you understand what we do and why we do it. So we're driven by product intelligence. We support over 30,000 applications and products that currently use Amplitude to build a better experience for their users. And that's our mission. So if you're currently responsible for managing, maintaining, designing, supporting, or even marketing a product, Amplitude is going to be an incredibly powerful tool to have in your arsenal. All right, so now that I've introduced Amplitude sufficiently, we are going to go ahead and actually transition over into an Amplitude dashboard. So welcome to Amplitude's dashboard functionality. This is something that hopefully most of you have heard of, this concept, the ability to aggregate different chart views, maybe a cohort, maybe some text, really just to tell a story around a specific initiative. So for the purpose of today's demonstration, let's assume that all of us here are actually product managers at Amplishop, which is an e-commerce company, completely fictitious. Our goal is to make sure that users are spending more money with us and ultimately to drive conversion to purchase over time. So let's go ahead and actually think about what our North Star metric would be. Our North Star metric would be to increase the number of purchases or to decrease the number of time to convert. In Amplitude, you can use the existing user data that you already have, historical data, campaign data, data from other tools such as Salesforce, Segment, Braze, Iterable, Marketo, you name it, and unify it into one source of truth in Amplitude to inform your decisions, especially as you start to evolve your product. So historically at Amplishop, as a team of PMs, we have assumed that the users from our organic channels are actually more inclined to convert and spend money than our paid users. This is a subject of hot debate internally at a fictitious company, so we're going to use Amplitude to quickly debunk this or prove it, and based on the insights we learn, use that to inform our monetization strategy. So first things first, we're actually going to jump into a quick event segmentation chart. Event segmentation is really going to help you answer questions that are more of the quantity side of things. So how many of my users were active? Which users were active on this day? And what events or what actions did they take in my product? So currently what you can see here, top left, we're just looking at users who fired literally any event in Amplishop. And we're only looking at users that were active. So down here, we're counting the number of unique users. So on a daily basis from the last 30 days, we can see here the differing levels of users who came into the product called Amplishop and the maybe drops, maybe the days of peak engagement. Looks like the weekends aren't super busy yet. But here in Amplitude, you can click into any data point to better understand what it's comprised of, who these users are, maybe what paths they're taking in the product. As soon as they get to the homepage, are they going directly to an item? Are they more casually browsing? This is all going to be the types of questions that you can ask and answer of your user data in Amplitude. So the purpose of this chart is really to help us understand who our users are. So if you'll remember, our hypothesis is that organic users pay more than paid users. However, we don't know if that's true. So here in Amplitude, we are going to really just isolate the users that are organic. So first, we're going to call these users that came in from a direct source as organic. And then we're going to create another segment of users where the source is actually a paid channel where we've invested ad spend or dollars. So Instagram, Google, Facebook, and Twitter. And we're going to call these the paid users. So now what you can see here is a very clear breakdown of the users who were organic, say on Thursday, April 22nd. We have about 14,000 of them. If we wanted to, we could create a cohort of just these users on this day, or not. And we here have users who came in from a paid channel on the same day, but we have 26,000 of them. So now that we know exactly who these users are, what we're going to want to do is to understand their purchase behavior. So I've actually switched over into an aggregate view called bar chart, where I can now actually create cohorts of just the users who came in from a paid channel and were active in the last 30 days. So these are going to be paid channel users, and that's cohort 1. And these are going to be organic users. That is cohort 2. So that only took me a matter of a handful of clicks. I now understand exactly how many users I have from which sources. If we wanted to, could even split it out by individual sources. So how many users came in from Twitter versus Facebook versus Instagram, and compare the quantity or the behaviors of those users. For the purpose of our theory that we're trying to debunk or validate, we need to know which of these users, if they're organic or paid, are actually spending money with us. So we're actually going to switch into a funnel chart, which is going to help us understand users who add to cart as an initial action in the overall conversion flow, and then ultimately complete a purchase. So currently we can see that conversion must be completed within 7 days. It could be hours, it could be minutes, it could be seconds. We could also broaden or shrink this window of conversion, but right now we're looking at users who have done this in the last 30 days. So of the users who ultimately added an item to the cart, how many of them went on to purchase something? We see that we have a very substantial amount of users who did not convert. We have about 76% of our users drop off, which is interesting, definitely not what we want to see. And then we have users who did. So they actually did what we wanted them to do, which was spend money. We monetize them. That's great. We have about 24% of those users. Before we actually compare paid versus organic users, why don't we actually understand what happened to the users who didn't convert? So by clicking into the shaded area of dropped off users and selecting Explore Conversion Drivers, I'm now being taken to a completely different report within Amplitude that will break down exactly what it was that caused users to either convert in my pre-designed workflow or to just completely drop off. So now we can see for the 100,000 users that dropped off, the number of users or the percentage of users who viewed 1-star reviews is 91% of them. So it looks like the nesting logic of our reviews is actually not working in our favor, and seeing too many negative experiences with a product actually detracts them from spending money, and that makes a lot of sense. It also looks like there may or may not be some sort of issue on the back end, and the link that they're clicking to check out isn't working. So that's something we can easily surface to our QA team or engineering team and ask them to triage and resolve. And that'll make a significant change in our overall conversion, because we had 68% of our users experience this. So let's compare this to the users who did convert. We have about 31,000 who did. And of the users who did convert, it looks like the majority of them added an item to the cart from a featured carousel on the home page. So rotating bevy pre-selected items from our team, we put that in front of them, and this is actually strongly correlated, and 81% of our users who converted actually viewed an item and added it from that carousel. Additionally, we can also validate our promotion strategies here. So the users who entered an email for 25% off or applied a promo code from the sidebar, looks like these users engaging with these different promotions is actually encouraging them to spend money. So we can certainly validate our efforts there as well. So that's conversion drivers, a great tool, beloved by many. But we are here to actually answer a question, which is, do paid users convert at a higher rate than organic users? So if you remember, we made 2 cohorts. We made a cohort of organic users, and we also made a cohort of paid users. So we're going to compare those really quickly. So our theory was organic users spend more money. They're not coming in from a paid channel. They don't cost us as much money as paid users do. Let's go ahead and see who actually ends up converting more. So looks like we have about 28% conversion from users who came in from a paid channel, and we have 17.2% conversion of users who came in from some sort of organic or direct source. So that's actually debunking our assumptions about our users. And the data itself doesn't lie. We can also see on average how long it's taking them to convert. So for the organic users, they take about a day or two to convert. And then for paid users, they're taking relatively the same amount of time, just at a higher rate. We can infer this is because there are more paid users currently in Amplishop than organic. So it's not necessarily that organic users cost us less money. It's just that paid users generally have a return on interest. They are now being monetized. So that's just a quick sneak peek into how Amplitude can help you understand and maybe solve for some of the workflows that you're currently dealing with in your day-to-day life. We're actually going to switch gears and talk about Recommend. Recommend is going to really take all of the insights that we were able to generate here in Amplitude to the next level. So what we're going to do in Amplitude is ask Recommend to generate a prediction. I want to know who these users are because we are all PMs at Amplishop. Who are the users that are most likely to spend money with us? And even more so, I want to know who the users are that are more likely to spend money with us in the next week, because that is a very urgent window and a time frame that we want to capitalize on. So we're going to ask Amplitude and Recommend to predict if users will ultimately complete some sort of purchase event in the next 7 days. And what Amplitude would do is generate a prediction for us. Users who will spend money in the next 7 days. So as Amplitude builds a prediction for us, it's going to calculate via machine learning based on historical data, based on trends. It will project into a different view exactly how many users are most likely to spend. The higher the propensity, the better off we are targeting those users. So what we're going to do is switch over into a prediction that we made not too long ago, most likely to purchase in the next 7 days. As we can see here, we have about 61,000 users currently in the cohort who have a 80% to 99% tile likelihood to convert. So this is really exciting. There's a ton of users that if we effectively got them to spend money, that could be a boon to our monetization strategy. What's also pretty wonderful about Amplitude is that if you so wanted to, you could include other lower thresholds or other percentiles of users who maybe aren't as inclined, but do still have a propensity to spend money with us. That will, of course, obviously fluctuate and change the number of users in that cohort, but it'll also update the data that informs the physical prediction itself. So users who have a higher propensity to pay previously have spent money. They've bought something in the past, but they've also redeemed a reward. They've maybe become a full-time member by paying a subscription. They've joined a reward program. They're using a discount. So all of this is informing on the back end the future strategy for, again, monetization. These are the users who will respond well to a specific campaign. So what I'm going to do is say, these are the users who will spend money. I'm going to create a cohort of these users, and I'm actually going to sync them out of Amplitude, out of Recommend, into a tool that will then be used to create a really personalized and tailored campaign meant specifically to get users to do something, which is to spend money. So in looking at this cohort view, we are targeting about 80,000 users. These are the users who have a propensity to spend money in the next 7 days. And if we wanted to, we could even add more criteria. This could be something like they had to have been new, they had to have come in from Google, they had to have come in from Facebook, because we're going to create a really Facebook or Google-centric campaign. We're not going to do that. For the sake of simplicity, we're just going to sync this cohort, and we're going to target them in a messaging campaign. So we're going to use, at this point, Iterable, one of our integrations. And we're going to actually tell Amplitude how many times we want to have this cohort synced to iterable and the destination of that. So what I'm going to do is actually just select a one-time sync, which means I can just send this one-time cohort to iterable. If we wanted to, we could actually schedule an automated basis. So users who continue to fall in or fall out of a cohort and its dynamic criteria will receive a automatic some sort of engagement that is tailored to them. So as we hit sync and we toggle over into iterable, we can see here that our pre-planned campaign with our template, with our cohort list, it's going to only be sent to those users that have the highest propensity to spend money with us. And it will not be sent to a generic huge list or folks who are usually exposed to a broad email blast. It's not going to get that much, reach, but it is going to be very targeted and personalized and has a higher chance of actually bringing users back. So that's Amplitude. In a nutshell, a very quick preview. If you're ever interested in learning more, please feel free to stop by a virtual booth. We'd be more than happy to give you more insight and more information on the different features that we provide. This is only the tip of the iceberg. Just to summarize and recap everything that we learned today, we talked about executive reporting, we talked about user conversions, and we talked about recommend, specifically predictive cohorts. Just wanted to say thanks everybody here for joining. I know we covered a lot of ground. We're super excited to hear from you. Would love to get your feedback. Please feel free again to come say hi and have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the conference. All right. Farewell, everybody.